Hey, I'm Steve with Foiling Magazine here at AWSI 2022, and here with Keith Teboul, a legendary shaper and windsurfer and all-around waterman from Maui. And Keith, how many years have you been actually shaping boards?
I think it's been at least 25 years.
25 years.
Yeah.
And you know, I've got to confess, as a big guy, Keith has built me some custom boards that have just been amazing. So I'm excited to hear, but it's not just me you build boards for. Of course, there's guys like Kai Lenny, for example, that's, you know, as a windsurf competitor that you've been, a world-class windsurfer, and then building windsurf boards, sup boards, short boards for professional surfers.
Yep.
Building everything is kind of natural for Kai to want to work with you. Plus, you guys are both in Maui. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it makes it easy for Kai to just come to me. One, it's the technology of the build.
Absolutely.
Two, we're involved in all these different sports, so it's great. And then, you know, three, we're all passionate about what we do, so the innovation just kind of comes naturally.
What I think is kind of neat is that, you know, it doesn't seem like you ever tried to push yourself or promote KT. You know, you let Kai do his thing, and Kai blew up big, and now people are probably saying, wow, who's this KT?
For sure. I think it started with surfing KT, and then we've segued into, you know, the foiling, because we felt like foiling is definitely a lot like surfing. The energy that you get from the swell, downwinding or prone paddling or whatever it is. So it was very natural for us to bring foiling into KT. And, you know, working with Kai, all the athletes really, but Kai especially, he's so forward thinking and thinking outside the box. And he's a very good tester and a very good person to have new ideas.
Awesome. I think that's a great segue to potentially what's laying here right here. Is this the Ginxu?
So this is the Ginxu. It's a new concept of board that actually I developed originally with Elliot LeBeau. So he came to me with the idea of trying to get the boards more sensitive. So in effect, wanted to get closer to the foil. So that was the first thing we did. We just cut the tail, brought the foil closer to your foot so you have more sensitivity. The first time I rode the board, I realized first wave that you actually lift off quicker. So basically the foil you start moving forward, you get a little lift, and basically there's nothing back here that's going to touch. So
the wetted surface area just becomes
shorter.
Yeah. And
so you lift off way quicker. And then we started realizing the other benefits as we did different prototyping and all this. And you have to understand too that when we were doing all this prototyping, we didn't want anybody to see it, because this is a very different idea and it's hard on Maui. So keep it in a bag, go to different spots, use the jet ski. So that was a pretty cool, you know, little kind of fun little experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we found all these benefits, and you know, the touchdowns are really effortless. The balancing is a little different, and that just takes some getting used to, but it's a quick transition.
So I actually saw this tail in action. There's a new clip. It's September of 2022 here, and there's a new clip out from Kai and in Mexico, and he's carving on this prone foil board, and you can see this tail is not touching, very close.
Yeah, I think again that's another one of the design aspects, is that when you are turning, there's less area back here to actually touch and slow you down. So he loves it. He loves every aspect of it. He loves the lift off, the way it actually, when you land, also you have more volume in your front foot, so when you're landing jumps, it doesn't dive in as much and pops out sooner. And he likes just the little, like the seesaw action that this creates. And this design is actually patented.
Oh, wow.
So we have a patent, a worldwide patent on this. So we're pretty stoked. It was something that we thought was valuable enough to put a little effort into patenting it.
Nice. Now, another question. You're legendary for your construction. You know, all these windsurfers over all these years, detonating flat landings in Arequipa.
For sure.
So was designing this tail a challenge to be strong enough?
Super challenging. I mean, in the beginning, we broke some. It's normal. We didn't really break the bigger sizes.
And you don't have to give me the secrets. I just wanted to know you.
I mean,
you're confident in this tail.
I'm confident in this tail, in the construction, and yes, our background has really helped. And yes, we had to put a lot of thought into it, because it is a full-on stress point.
Yeah. So these boards are good for Kai Lenny, but are they good for you know, the average surfer?
Definitely. I think this board is. I can't say it's for beginners.
Right.
You know, if you're a small beginner, you could take the 120 and just do just fine. But I'd say it's more intermediate advanced, and it might take a day to get used to, or you know, a session, just because of the different balance. But it's completely for anybody intermediate to advanced.
And then what's the size range on these? I mean, are these prone all the way up? Or
yeah, it goes from 26 all the way to 120 liters.
Oh, fantastic.
So, the smaller ones are good for wake, behind a boat or prone. And then as it progresses, I use a 32 to wing, when it's windy. Yeah, if it's windy in Maui, so I'm on a 3L. So that was our idea, is to make it that you were able to do everything on it. And I feel good about where we're at with that.
Awesome, man. I know you hooked up with Jason Diffin as well, people don't know, but tell his background if you would.
Jason Diffin has been designing Goya sails for many years now, and just as we developed our whole product line, we were able to just incorporate the wings.
So yeah.
And so we have a full range of wings from 2.0 to 6.0. It took us 2 years to get them, to where we like them, and I feel really good about where we're at. And I feel like we have a good team that puts a lot of thought into everything we do, and it's just getting better. And so it was time for us to introduce something that we love to do.
Awesome, man. Well, this is all exciting stuff. Yeah. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for taking the time. Yeah, absolutely.
Taking the time too. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.